Hello everyone, I'm Lisa Wind. I've just blown in. And today we are back with more Seduce Me 2, The Demon War. Last time, epic fight scene is epic. And, oh yeah, we closed out the video with Mathew's mom kind of getting run through by Mathew. So, yeah, you know, the Demon Lord and Mathew's mom are making my parents look pretty freaking good in comparison. Azara hit the ground and quickly went limp, lifeless at last. Mathew, however, gripped his blade and stared at what he had done, both in pain and in shame. Aww, poor boy. He has not had a good run. My heart began to cry for Mathew. He had struck down his own mother, one whom he loved with every part of his being. This undoubtedly impacted him hard, and I could never know what ran through his mind. I slowly stood and walked over, standing before Mathew as he dropped his blade and averted his gaze to the side. Please tell me hugging him is an option. Mathew. I slowly raised my arms to offer a hug. Instantly, Mathew pulled me to him and pressed my body against his, burying his face into my shoulder. I could tell he was fighting back tears, but couldn't stop himself from letting some go, pressing his forehead against my neck. All I could do was hold him and hug him with the same amount of force. It's over now. It's over. So, wedding time? I gently ran my fingers through Mathew's hair, trying to calm him down. Eventually, he let his sadness out, making us both collapse onto the floor on our knees, gripping to each other tightly. Again, I wish we show image! His fingers dug into my shirt, pressing me even harder against his chest as he wept against my shoulder. I, however, was silent, trying to take everything in. The Demon Lord was dead, and so was Mathew's mother. The war had essentially been won. As a soft rustle caught me and Mathew off guard, we turned to see Sato and Diana leaning against the far wall, slowly rising and leaning on each other to remain on their feet.
Well, that was interesting, to say the least.
Agreed. This whole day has been interesting, to say the least. Mathew didn't speak a word as he looked away from Diana. Sato guided Diana over with a protective arm around her waist as she looked down at us.
Mathew, I'm sorry for what you had to do.
But your mom was nuts.
I know. However, you saved the woman you loved.
Aww. And just recently, Diana's come to believe in love, so yay! Mathew slowly turned to look me in the eyes as I did him. His face was stricken with tears. Again, wish we could see this. But his expression became one of slow acceptance.
She has been your rock ever since you met her.
Exactly.
If you had let your mother control you, I would have killed both you and her.
Also, why me? I was not the one under mind control here. As harsh as your words were, I can understand why she said them. I don't understand why me, game. How about you not speak for me? Mathew and I stared into each other's eyes as we took in what Diana said. She was right. Question mark. I loved him, and was happy to have him alive and in my arms. That was all that mattered. I smiled and took his head into my hands, leaning in and pressing my forehead against his. We're alive, and we can go home now. Mathew slowly grinned and nodded, cupping my head in his hands as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go to our wedding. I'm gonna smash cake into your face and throw a bouquet and wear a pretty dress. A loving laugh bounced between us, and we finally let everything sink in. We were together, alive and in love. We had won, and we were going to return to the human world and be together for the rest of our lives. Ugh. I barely noticed the gagging noise Diana made behind us. Oh, come on. I bet Sarah here is going to make you do even more mushy stuff.
Sarah, take me away from this. I'm feeling nauseous just looking at them.
You're a succubus. You should be getting all the carnal energy off this.
You could just admit that you're happy for them.
Exactly. Thank you, teacher.
Hush. I don't want anyone coming in here and finding out. I am the heartless queen of the rebellion, after all.
No, you're not. We know better. You got heart. Yes, you do. I could only laugh. Diana was happy for us, and, apparently, she had found happiness on her own. Good for her! And not by on her own, I mean, Sarah did everything, and I kind of talked him into it. Sarah, however, chuckled and guided Diana out of the room, waving his hand over the air before exiting completely. As I looked around, the room became vacant of any danger or death. There were no bodies or traces of blood. Mathew and I were alone to hold each other and wait until the horn sounded for the war to be officially over. Matthew gently pulled me close and rested my head on his chest, resting his chin on top of my hair.
I love you.
Aww. I would hope so. I couldn't fight the smile that painted itself over my cheeks as I knelt a little close to Matthew, relaxing at last. I love you too. It was over. The war was finally over, and the skip buttons returned. Yay! And we're partying, but Diana wants my attention, and I'm gonna follow her because she is queen now. I kinda can't refuse. And I really do owe her a lot. And we're walking, and I was expecting on coming here. I still don't want to be here. But at least I helped get you bring peace here. It was good to see you again, though. Yeah. You know, this version of Trish is very frickin' hopeful. But at least I got to help bring peace here. Diana smiled, nodding to me. I really was glad to help bring peace to a world. Yeah, not everyone gets to say that about themselves. It wasn't out of pride or vanity. It was a matter of helping people clearly in need. Like Diana's boyfriend, going for it already.
We owe you much thanks.
Yes, you do. Remember that. I'll accept your thanks when I finally get married.
Oh, I had almost forgotten.
Okay, and she gives me a gift, and it's pretty flowers.
Nevertheless, I'm glad things worked out in the end.
Yay!
It was for the better, or otherwise.
Well, yeah, it is kind of sad we couldn't save Matthew's mom, but girl was cracked.
I never imagined that Matthew's own mother would go crazy and
I did.
The demon lord got what he had coming to him.
Exactly. They both did.
Anyway, Matthew's completely free now, and you got to return to the human world in the end.
Yay!
Anyways, you've been through a lot, so why don't we skip to...
Go on.
Huh? You want to know what happened after the war?
Not really.
Well, I mean, I guess I could tell you. After
Cool.
the war was finished, the entire rebellion celebrated. Word
Okay.
spread far and wide.
Okay.
You would think demons would be more hostile towards each other. The entire world, and thanks to you, she was finally able to find true love in the form of a
Aw.
tainted Nephilim named
Nephilim?
Sarah.
Nephilim. Interesting. So they actually finally gave him a title for what he is. Cool. Happy to help.
Oh, crap! I shouldn't have let that one slip. Oops.
What do you mean, oops? That was totally helpful, Kay. Thank you. Now, can you go get me something from your cafe? That'd be great.
Anyway, when they bound their souls together in marriage, he
Aww.
became king of the demon world.
Woo!
However, it was just a title to him. The real power belonged to Diana.
Well, of course, he is her guard.
Diana became one of the most beloved rulers in all of demon world history.
Of course she did, because
Her
she's
natural
awesome.
heart of gold led her to lead the world to a prosperous. The other rebel leaders supported her. Eventually, Diana had her suspicions, of course, as any. And I believe that is everything that happened after.
Yay!
Well, except for your story, anyway.
Okay, now you've got my attention again. And I'm sorry for skipping over this, but we have heard this part of the tale in other playthroughs.
Mathew and you went back to the human world and had a peaceful night in your bed before moving on and getting married.
Yay! Finally.
Huh? How do I know? Well, I have my ways. Maybe you should check it out.
You were a caterer, weren't you? Or we had your reception at your cafe. Hello? The wedding day, which was rescheduled without issue. I call shenanigans. Became as perfect as I imagined it to be. The ceremony was perfect, and the reception was filled with food, cake, streamers, and everything a perfect party should have. Our night became filled with both excitement, fun, dancing, and a feeling of perfection as the realization of everything hit me. I was at last married to the man of my dreams. Mwah. And I could go on and on about the wedding and the honeymoon. I mean, I know I've clicked the box saying my channel is not for kids, but I'd rather not go into the porn territory. But honestly, after the war, I was more concerned with living my life afterwards. Our lives exploded with possibilities after we officially became husband and wife. Mathew helped escalate the Anderson Toy Company to new heights with his brother and became head designer for toys. Oh, I'd like to think I'm his muse. He began to pump out idea after idea, become a master toy maker like my grandfather was. Aw, see? There's a reason we picked him. As for me, I began to go through my own success in life, dedicating myself to become exactly what I wanted to be. After all, my husband was being a master toy designer. If I put the same amount of work in as I did in the demon world, then I was going to be okay. However, there was never a day that went by that I didn't think about what was happening in the Abyssal Plains. It was a heavy chapter of my life, one that tested the love between me and Mathew. The memories of our final fight with the Demon Lord and Zara still haunted me slightly, but it only showed how passionate Mathew was about keeping me safe and remaining as my own. I was blessed to have him as mine after everything we went through. Still, I was confident that we would get through it and stay together, no matter what came our way. Demon, devil, whatever. It didn't matter to us. We were unstoppable together. Yeah, if you can overcome a mama's boy's mama, you win. A moment to myself was all it took to remember everything that went on during that time in the Abyssal Plains. It was a heavy part of my life and chapter I would never forget for as long as I lived. Haha, turns out next game I have Alzheimer's. Still, there was some fun moments while others only proved to me how strong I was and how strong the love me and Mathew had was. I was, dear Lord, too many wases. It was a blessing in disguise. I sat at the dining room table, looking over the multiple photos that were taken from our wedding. There were so many goofy smiles, embraces, and tear-jerking moments that spanned through every picture. I felt myself grinning at the sight of each one, remembering vividly each moment as if it was shot and captured in nostalgic euphoria. Kinda probably was. I almost wanted to go back in time and relive it all over again, just to feel the emotions run through me once again, the first time through. Well, that's why we do multiple Let's Plays. What do you think, Simon? Oh, my delinquent son's with us! I looked to my furry friend, pointing at an image that managed to catch him jumping for the bridal garter in a surprisingly human form. Wait, what? How he managed to learn that, I would never know. We're not looking into his human form, but I was excited to have had him as a guest instead of just my lucky charm. My lucky charm with a knife. Simon wobbled over from his spot, looking at the image, and gave me a silly grin. It still looked a little evil, but I had begun to recognize which of his smiles were actually filled with ill intent and which were genuine. I giggled and slid it over to him, picking it up off the table and handing it to him, and watching him sit back on his fluffy tail, looking at it in awe. I guess the pictures were still a wonder to Simon, since they didn't move. Shaking my head, I began to slowly pile the rest of the images together, eager to store them away for the future, and frame them up just for the sake of the memories. As I did, Mathew walked into the room, hands behind his back with a smile. Wait, is Simon Tabby ready to get a sibling? Oh, hey, Mathew.
Hey, what you doing?
Looking at pictures. Aren't we cute? We're too cute. Which do you want to frame? Oh, I was just looking at wedding photos. I got a bit nostalgic, you know? Mathew nodded and walked over, looking over them over my shoulder. I, however, attempted to be sly and looked over his in return, to try and glimpse at what he might have been hiding behind his back. Present! To my surprise, there was nothing there, making Mathew smirk and laugh.
Look, I know I have a nice butt, but
You do?
you don't need to try and sneak a peek at it, okay?
I mean, if you're just gonna turn around and show me now, that would save a lot of time. Oh my god, Mathew! I gave Mathew a playful slap on the shoulder as both of us began to laugh wildly at the joke. Mathew was the first to calm down, wrapping an arm around my shoulder and continuing to look at the pictures.
Man, it's been like, what, a couple months since the wedding, right?
Apparently? Question mark? Yeah, how time flies. I laid my head on Mathew's shoulder, letting my emotions drift into the state of calm and serenity with his half embrace. With a chuckle, Mathew lowered his head and kissed on top of my hair before nuzzling it with his cheek.
I still remember it. Oh, I was so nervous saying my vows.
Aww, I'm sure you did wonderful. Me too. It was like a dream from long ago. Both of us revealed in the memory of exchanging vows and saying I do to one another. I could feel the rush of happy realization wash over me as I affirmed to myself, Mathew was my husband. Mathew grinned before kissing my temple and standing up straight, placing his hands behind his back once again. When he brought them forward, I was shocked to see him bring around a gift box, beautifully wrapped and tied with a bow. Hey, this reminds me of how I got my son from you. I mean, our son now. Huh? Mathew, what is this?
Something that I think you and Simon will like.
Aw, Simon's gonna get a sibling. Simon perked up at the sound of his name as I straightened up in my chair, now beyond curious of what was in the box. I'm Pandora! As Mathew slowly unwrapped it, I gasped at what popped out of it. Male stripper? Another doll! Aw, she's so cute! Look at her! Bursting from the now open top was a fluffy doll that looked almost like Simon, but with a bow on its head and a cute curl in its fur. It looked around and hopped onto the table, skittering over to Simon. Wait, is the next dating sim game about Simon and this doll? I mean, I'm down for it, but they're kind of siblings. Of course, Simon brandished his toy knife, but stopped as the doll came up close and sniffed at him, grinning at him and hopping around him excitedly. A couple of sniffs from Simon caused him to do the same to his new friend. Yay! We've multiplied them.
I figured since we're married and stuff, maybe it was time to get Simon a playmate of his own. You know?
Aww. Aren't you sweet? I smiled as the two furry dolls bounced around each other, now excited for their new company, and stood, walking over to Mathew. He lowered the box and wrapped his arms around me, grinning down at me as I nuzzled my nose to his. You are the absolute best, you know that?
I do my best for you.
Aww. And that is why you're so lovable. Mathew raised his hands and brushed a strand of hair behind his ear before cupping my cheek. I felt his warmth radiate from his hand, causing me to lean into it and smile. I love you, Mathew. I love you so, so much.
I love you too. More than anything. And I'll always be here with you, working to keep a smile on your face.
Aww. I couldn't stop my smile from growing before leaning in and kissing Mathew lovingly, feeling him kiss back with the same amount of love and passion I had. He would always be here with me, and no one would be able to take him away. Who's left at this point? I would be here, arms wide open for him, and I would fill him with my love for as long as I lived. And that was my perfect happily ever after. End. My love for you is endless. E. And closing theme credit song. Okay, so that is one more path down. Unfortunately, since we have the theme song, I think this is the canonical good ending, which means when we return to this... Ew, achievement unlocked. Sorry, I get distracted easily. Which means our last run through for Mathew is not probably going to be a happy one. Oh well. But that'll be next time. So until next, Taklikatila Kiddo.